All right, let's talk about something that could totally change how we think about water. It's called water-wise design. And really, it's all about getting smarter with how we use and reuse every single drop.
It's a simple question, right? You turn on the tap, you wash your hands, and poof, the water's gone. Down the drain. But where does it go? For pretty much ever, we've treated the drain like it's the end of the story. But what if it's not? What if it's actually the start of a whole new chapter for that water?
And that's really the heart of the issue. Right now, our whole system is basically a one-way street. We take fresh water, we use it once, and then we toss it. The problem is, there's only so much fresh water to go around. So this water-wise idea, it completely flips that script. It's about turning that one-way street into a roundabout, a circle where water keeps getting used and captured and used all over again.
So this is the big mental switch we have to make. We've got to stop thinking of water as something that's just there and start treating it like gold. Seriously. Every single drop that hits your roof during a storm, every drop that swirls down your sink, it's a valuable asset. It has potential. And water-wise design is basically the playbook for how we can tap into that potential.
Okay, so how do we actually do this? Well, let's start with the easy stuff. This isn't all about crazy futuristic technology, Some of the smartest solutions are actually incredibly simple. It's all about giving water a second chance to be useful.
First up is something called rainwater harvesting. It sounds a little technical, but it's an idea that's been around forever. All it means is, instead of letting all that precious rain just run off into the gutter and disappear, we catch it. You've probably seen a rain barrel hooked up to a downspout, right? That's it. Now, one barrel might not seem like much, but imagine if whole cities were designed like sponges, catching millions of gallons. That takes a huge load off our main water systems. All right, next up, let's head inside the house and talk about greywater recycling. This is about taking the water from, say, your shower, or your washing machine, or even your bathroom sink, and giving it a second life. Now, you're not going to drink this stuff for sure, but think about it. It's perfectly fine for things like watering your garden or flushing the toilet. And those two things can be almost half of all the water a family uses. It's a huge opportunity. And this is a really, really important point. Not all the water that goes down our drains is created equal. On one side, you have gray water. That's the stuff from sinks and showers we just talked about. It's pretty clean, relatively easy to reuse. But then you have black water. That's the water from your toilet. And, well, that's a whole different story. It's full of waste and needs serious treatment. Knowing the difference is key, because it means we can design systems that are way more efficient.
So, rain barrels and gray water systems are awesome for our homes and neighborhoods. But what happens when you take this whole circular water idea and apply it to something huge, like a factory? Well, that's when things get really high-tech. We're talking about pushing the absolute limits of what's possible with water recovery.
And that brings us to this idea called Zero Liquid Discharge, or ZLD for short. It's an advanced process you'll find in big industrial settings. And the name? Well, the name says it all. The goal is to treat their wastewater so thoroughly that there is literally zero liquid waste left over at the end. It's kind of the holy grail of industrial water recycling.
So, just how good are these ZLD systems? Check out this number, 95%. That is incredible. It means these systems can recover and reuse up to 95% of all the wastewater a factory produces. Let me put it another way. For every 100 gallons of water they use, they get 95 of them back. That is an absolute game changer.
So how on earth do they do that? Well, breaking it down, it's pretty clever. First, they collect all the wastewater. Then they run it through some super advanced filters to pull out all the solids and, well, all the gunk. The next step is the real magic. They basically boil the remaining water, turning it into pure steam, and leave all the leftover impurities behind. Then they just capture that steam, condense it back into water, and boom, you have ultra-clean water, ready to go back into the system. Okay, so we've talked about catching water, and we've talked about cleaning and reusing it. But there's one more huge piece to this puzzle. What if we just used water smarter in the first place? This is where technology, sensors, and data come into play to make our water systems truly intelligent.
The whole idea here is to be precise. Instead of just watering the lawn every day at 6 a.m. because that's what the timer says, a smart system actually knows if the lawn needs water. It uses sensors and real-time data to figure that out, so water is only used exactly when it's needed and exactly where it's needed. No more guesswork, no more waste.
And here are a couple of perfect examples of this in action. First, smart irrigation. These systems can literally check the weather report or use a sensor to feel if the soil is dry before they turn on. So yeah, no more sprinklers running in the middle of a downpour. Another huge one is leak detection. These little sensors can find tiny invisible leaks hidden in pipes deep underground, the kind that can silently waste thousands and thousands of gallons before you'd ever even know.
So, when you step back and look at the whole picture, you see what WaterWise design is all about. It's everything from a simple rain barrel in your backyard to a super complex water recycling plant at a factory to an intelligent network of sensors. It's not just one single technology. It's a completely new way of thinking, valuing, and managing water.
So you can see the technology is there. The ideas are there. From huge industrial systems all the way down to a smart sprinkler for your lawn, we have the tools to build a much smarter water future. It's not really a question of if we can do it anymore. The real question is, will we? And it leaves you with the thought, if our systems can be this smart, what's one smart choice you can make with water today?